Hello? Yeah, well, you can hear me. That's the one. Hello. So, this is us for today. I was reading and I landed on this, so I thought I'll share a story. Ooh, nice. So, today we'll speak a little bit, and I won't bore you. I try. About staking and liquid staking. And I'll show you just a few websites you can visit to start testing, maybe playing around. But before we do that, let's kind of go over the very basics that we go through all the time. It's important for new people here, especially. So let's start with step one. We're talking about blockchains, right? What is a blockchain? A blockchain is a database on some level that we can cryptographically prove that whatever we wrote in this database is correct, and it's very hard to cheat. And it has some nice properties that we can build interesting financial applications on, but also other type of applications, right? So how do we make sure that these blockchains, whatever we put on them, we cannot cheat? How are they there? How can we know that they're there forever? We use some sort of consensus mechanism. So the first one was proof of work, which essentially means in order to create this blockchain, for this database to keep growing, etc., and working properly, we have a set of people around the world. They run miners, they produce blocks, and they're rewarded for producing these blocks, right? It requires like these miners to solve fancy cryptographic formulas, mostly for no reason apart from creating new blocks. Very high energy consumption, and over time we moved on to proof of stake, right? What I'll talk about today is Ethereum, right? Before I continue, who here has some Ethereum? So maybe half, maybe more. Half, okay. That's good. So who here stakes their Ethereum? So maybe half of the half. Okay. Who here then liquid stakes their Ethereum? No one. Ooh, okay. All right. So this should be useful. Proof of stake, key components of proof of stake. So we have a set of validators, right? So we're substituting the miners that we had in Bitcoin consensus mechanisms with validators. Validators are also people who run nodes, right, online. For example, we, as a company, Simply Staking, is a validator. The difference between us and blockchain and Bitcoin miners is that Bitcoin miners have a lot of, let's say, hardware, right, that is using a lot of electricity and solving kind of GPUs, right? You can think of them like that. Running. So it's a huge operation. You can see warehouses and warehouses of like these miners. For proof of stake, we just run them from normal servers. I mean, they're not normal. We spend a lot on servers. They're cutting edge. But still, normal servers, you don't need like massive warehouses of these. So our job is to run these nodes, right? To run these validators. Now, what do validators do? Validators produce blocks. So all the time, people around the world are creating transactions, right, and pushing them to the Ethereum blockchain. And then someone needs to decide which transactions are true. which are the ones that 20 years from now, someone goes and peeks into the past and they will see those transactions, right? Which ones of these transactions that I see am I going to put in a block? And also how to order these transactions, which is important. So validators have this job, right? They take it in turn, kind of in some way, shape, or form, to create these blocks. So they look at transactions, they say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to put them in the block, propose them to the rest of the network, and now they're there as a block, they're there forever, right? Why do we do this, validators like ourselves? Because, or people who are staking their ETH, actually. Why? Because whenever we produce blocks, right, we're going to get some reward. And this is the same reason why Bitcoin miners buy a ton of equipment, because they know that once they find Bitcoin blocks, once they produce Bitcoin blocks, they're going to get rewarded. The same for proof of stake. But in this case, it's validators and not miners. Now, nothing is free in life, so there are risks, right? In Bitcoin, for example, if I am a miner and my electricity goes down, nothing happens really. The only thing that happens is that I'm not participating in consensus. In proof of stake, well, we don't really tolerate downtime. So if a validator is down for a long time, they're going to get penalized, right? So I'll explain kind of what staking is, and you're at risk. So someone who has some ETH and is staking, right, to a validator, if that validator goes down for some amount of time, or they misbehave, let's say they try to propose another block like that along with someone else, that's considered kind of malicious behavior. Sometimes it's just negligence, not necessarily malicious. But yeah, there are situations in which someone's assets that he put to get some yield on, now suddenly they get slashed, and now they have less than what they started, right? So it's very important in this like line of business. If you're going to stake to someone reputable, right? Someone who does their homework, invests in hardware, infrastructure, training, etc. Someone like us. Okay, so what is staking? Staking is a process. There's a bit of repetition here. So the process of me taking some coins, and maybe I'll do this with like one example at a time. So how does staking work? Because I already kind of explained what staking is, right? So how does it work? Let's say we have Ethereum, right? So we're going to, first of all, find an Ethereum wallet. We have to do this, right? Because otherwise we cannot interact with the Ethereum network. There are many such wallets. Later, I'll just use MetaMask. You can use whatever you want. Go for reputable ones. If you don't know, use MetaMask. It's been around for a while. It's fine, right? Unless you have some specific concerns. If you're new, you probably don't have them. Save your keys somewhere safe. Don't take pictures. Don't send them to your mom. The basics. So, find a wallet. Then, what do I do? So I found a wallet, and I decided, so all of this kind of starts because I decided to buy some ETH, right? Why did I decide to buy some ETH, right? Most of the time, the answer to that question is because I think the price of ETH is going to go up, right? So it's a bit of an investment. ETH, and rightly so, if you held it for the last year, so if you bought ETH a year ago, you're up like 110% in a year. That's not bad. There are years where it's not like that. But we're going towards well, this is not financial advice, but but let's say it might be a good time. So I have some ETH, right? I decided, and maybe I also believe like 5-10 years from now, ETH today, so Ethereum is the blockchain that most people use, right? It's the second largest blockchain by market cap. There's a ton of development in it. It's, as cryptocurrencies go, it's a good place to start, So now I have ETH, and what could be better than having ETH? Making yield on my ETH, right? So I have one ETH, and I'm hoping that I can stake it, right? And in return for me staking my ETH, putting it at risk, I'm going to get, let's say, around right now 3.6%, right? Which means that a year from now, I will have 1.036 ETH. Now, if I had to set up a validator by myself, I'm going to need 32 ETH. That's a hefty price. Most people don't have 32 ETH. I don't know. That's like 100K, I guess, right? Easy. What happens? So I purchase this ETH, and then I set up a validator, or I find a delegator like Simply Staking. I say, hey, Simply Staking, I have 32 ETH. Can I delegate? Can you run a validator for me? Because I don't want to run it myself, right? We'll probably say yes. Otherwise, you just run it yourself. Unless you know what you're doing, I wouldn't recommend. And that's it. You stake your ETH, and 1 year from now, you're going to get like 1.036 ETH. However, now your ETH is staked, and it's true you're getting rewards, but you can do nothing else with this ETH. This ETH is locked, right? So if I wanted to, say, tomorrow pay Ferris with this ETH, I cannot, right? Because it's locked, which means I have to go and start a withdrawal process. This might take some time, right? And the time changes a little bit, depending on withdrawal traffic. So, great. What have we learned till now? We have ETH, right? We can take this ETH and we can earn. So we bought some ETH because we think that ETH is going to go up. Or we want to hold ETH for whatever reason, right? So we have ETH. Now we know how to get some yield on ETH, right? So we're going to get 3.6% per year. Which, if we believe the price is going to go up in the next years, right? Getting 3.6%, especially compounded over time, it's not too bad. But as I write here, so I know how to get yield, but I am now locked and I cannot send it to Ferris. And Ferris is sad, right? Because I can't send him ETH. How can we solve that? Right? We can solve it using something called liquid staking. So what is liquid staking? Liquid staking is pretty similar to staking, right? Whereby I am still locking my ETH to help secure the network and participate in consensus. So I still lock my ETH with some validators, but magically, instead of my ETH now being locked, I still have my ETH liquid. So now I have a mechanism that provides me not just yield, but also asset flexibility, right? And that's important because I can do other things with this liquidity, including sending it to Ferris. So how does liquid staking work? Again, you need a wallet and some ETH. In this case, you need less than 32 ETH, right? So you can go into a pool with as little ETH as you have, as long as you can pay for gas fees, right? And maybe save for some gas fees later. You lock the token. The token is now kind of goes in a pool. This pool, what happens in the background of this pool is let's say there's a 10,000 ETH, right, in this pool. This pool gets divided between, so parts of this Ethereum is divided across different Lido validators or pool validators, right? We, for example, participate in such a pool. It's called Lido. So people go deposit on this protocol. You deposit your ETH. This ETH gets linked to some validator. You don't need to know the process. Super simple. No need to think about it. Lido is going to make sure, very damn sure, that the validators that are running the system are professional, trustworthy, have a great track record, and they don't mess up, right? So you need to reduce your risk. This is one of the ways to do it. And so now my ETH is in a pool. What do I get? I get in return a token that is my representation of that ETH in my pool, right? And with this token is also yield bearing. So I have a token that magically, if I have one of these tokens a year from now, this token will be worth 1.036 ETH. The interesting thing is that this new token that I receive, called STETH, so I deposit ETH, I receive STETH back. Is this kind of clear? Show of hands. Unclear. Show of hands. But you're looking at your phone, so can I re-explain this? Does it interest you? Yeah, okay. So I'll explain it again. Malta. I have ETH, right? Because I purchased ETH, and I believe that for whatever reason, right? Now I want to get yield, so percentage interest on my ETH. What do? I go on a place called Lido. I deposit my ETH. Lido gives me back something called STETH. This STETH is a token, right? That is fully collateralized by ETH, but it also has attached to it the yield that I'm making from that ETH, right? So if I deposit 1 ETH, I'm going to get STETH, and a year from now, that STETH is going to be worth 1.036 Ethereum, magically, right? And I can take this STETH, and if tomorrow I want to send 0.5, like half of it, to Ferris, I can. And what happens in this case is that a year from now, let's say I do it, and immediately I split it between me and Mr. Ferris there. What happens in that case is that a year from now, we will both have 0.5, what's 36 divided by 2? Eh?
Well, if you have another technique.
0.5075, something like that, right? It's 0.36 divided by 2. Sorry for my maths. So, main benefits. Enhanced liquidity, lower staking barriers, so I don't need to trust sexes. I don't need to run my own validators. I don't need to have to do it, which is important. Large protocols like Lido, they're going to really choose their validators properly. So on some level, if we have a large validator, the decentralized validator set, we do create a more secure network, especially if there are a number of these pools. And flexibility, right? So one very important thing to note here is that I can do something else with my STETH, right? I don't just need to, I can send it to Ferris, but instead I can use it in other places to get, maybe to lend this out, right? Maybe someone needs to borrow STETH, right? And I'll show you, the process is super easy, right, to do this. So in that case, I'm not only getting yield from like because I'm securing the network, right? So not only am I getting like this 3.6% per year, I'm also going to get extra yield because now I'm lending this STETH, right? So there are people out there who need STETH for whatever reason. Maybe they're taking bets on the markets and require like a steady supply of STETH. So all of a sudden, I have an asset that is earning Ethereum yield and then yield on top of that, right? So maybe, and that can be like for STETH, I'll show you later, it's like 4.6% on top, right? So in a year, you're going to end up with, like a year from now, I put in 1 ETH today. A year from now, I have 1.07 ETH, right? Or maybe more, about 1.08 ETH. That's 8% per year on an asset that is kind of appreciating price. That's not bad. Slashing concerns. Yeah, if things go badly, if you're staking, you do risk losing some of your assets. The good thing about something like a liquid staking pool is that if someone of the validators messes up, the pain is kind of socialized amongst everyone. Everyone loses so little that it's insignificant. And these validators are trustworthy, so they rarely have problems. Smart contract vulnerabilities, that is very important. Of course, large projects that have been there for a very long time, they've been audited, they've been tested, battle tested over years and years. You can think of them as being a bit safer, you know. They've stood the test of time. And there are people out there who their job is to wake up every morning and try to extract money. So stay like the test of time is important. Yeah, if you have a derivative token of something else, if the pool is not trustworthy, and if it's not liquid enough, the secondary markets are not liquid enough, you can run into some liquidity issues. So again, staying with the largest providers out there is going to make your life a bit simpler, safer. Don't go crazy if you don't know what you're doing. You know, like if it's your first time, go slow. And do some research. So that's kind of it in terms of an overview, right? So this is what we've discussed today, right? Liquid staking. Some protocols that you can use. So you have your ETH and you want to put this ETH to good use. So it's just not sitting there in your wallet. What do? You can go to Lido. You can go to something like Rocket Pool or Swell. And boom, you can start getting yield on your ETH. Not just that, you're going to get liquid staked ETH. And we'll see soon what you can do with that. So restaking and liquid restaking, these are kind of evolutions over staking and consensus mechanisms. I'm not going to go into these. I think I covered them some months back. I'll do that again at some point. We're going to stop here a little bit for today. And instead, I'll show you something else, right? So how does this look like? And I'm going to convince you that this is very easy, right? I'm going to show you. I don't need to convince you. I'm going to show you that this is extremely easy. It's like 3 clicks. All you need is your ETH. So you do have to purchase some ETH somewhere and have it in a wallet, right? So if you have Binance, you can go on Binance, you can go on Kraken, you can go on some other exchange, whichever one you want, Coinbase, whatever, right? Buy some ETH, put it in a wallet. You can, again, choose whatever wallet you want. And go to Lido. You can research, you can Google. I think it's Lido.fi. I suspect so. If not, you just Google Lido crypto and you will find it immediately. So, there you go. Stake.lido.fi. So all you need is a wallet that has some ETH. You get to this page and it says you stake your Ether. Connect your wallet. takes you here. So connect wallet. You connect the one that you want. Let's say you have MetaMask where you're using your ledger. So that's it. 1, 2, 3 clicks till now. So it's more than 3 clicks. Say how much you want to stake. Press stake. Done. Like that's it. All of a sudden, you have now your ETH from your wallet has magically changed into STETH. And STETH, a year from now, is going to be worth 3.6. You're going to have 3.6% more ETH than when you started today. Right? Pretty simple. Very simple. This is like 5-6 clicks. Next. Is this clear to everyone? Is this simple enough?
$63 gas.
The good thing is that you can do this on an L2, right? So you can do this and the costs are extremely cheap. So if you don't want to use Ethereum, you can use, in fact, they say it here, you can wrap your STETH to something like WSTETH. You can go purchase STETH directly, really. So instead of purchasing ETH and going through all this process, you can actually go and just purchase STETH. Yeah. I don't think Eric spent $60 on gas fees. Like $3.63. That's all right.
I didn't see.
So, enjoy your rewards. That's it. Now, if, as I was saying before, you choose to be a bit ambitious, you can go on something like Aave or Pendle. I'll show you quickly. And what you do here is you can lend out your STETH, right? I'll show you very quickly. And this is kind of dangerous, right? So if you don't know what you're doing, don't go too deep into the risk curve. And I'll show you what I mean. Mm-hmm.
I need to put this again. Yeah, also, I'm not. Yeah.
So, you can go to Pendle, right? .finance. And immediately you see, as soon as you go in, you can lend your STETH, right? And make 4.26% per year. Then you can go on, let's say you click on Earn Now, when you're going to get to here. And you're going to start seeing some crazy numbers, right? That's where you have to be, do your own research. If you see something that is really, really high, maybe understand the risks in that, right? Maybe don't choose that. If you have some ETH, if you want to just get some simple yield on that, right? You just go down here, press STETH, you're going to get nearly 5% per year. Pretty good. Very simple. If you have USDT, right, which is, I imagine most people have some USDT or USDC, you can go and on-chain, get 8.38%, right? That's pretty good on a stable coin. So, that's it for me today. Questions, comments, thoughts? Thank you very much.
We are a crypto-native community that aims to learn and share knowledge together. Join us at Soho, The Strand, every Wednesday to dive into our questions section live.